do that. Okay, cool. Okay, cool. So we are going to pick up right from where we left off last week. Man, it's class 8 already. We only got 3 more of these. Well, 2 more after this one. Okay, so I have got my default Maya up. And the example that we're going to be using today is the same one as last week. First, I'm going to set my project. First thing I always do. And then I am going to open up the walking ball example. So today, in this class, we are going to be going over the, real quick. We're going to be going over the tools right after the tint keys. We're going to be going over the purple keys and tools. We're going to be going over the purple tools and the pink tools. So we're going to be going over selection sets, copying and pasting animation and poses, mirror settings, the align tool, the X-form tool, the space switcher, and this is actually new from what I understand, the mirror slider. Let me just show my nerve curves here. Cool. So just like last time, we've got our dude walking. Cool. And then so the first thing that I want to go over is something that I use constantly. Actually, before that, I'm sorry. This right here, right after the tint keys, right after this breakdown key, now that we know, is the selection display. So this shows you exactly how many items you have selected. It'll show you a shortcut right here, just 9, and it'll give you a list of what you have selected. In case you want to deselect things or select things by name, it's a lot easier to do it through here by name as opposed to doing it in the viewport. The next tool we have up is the one that I'm pretty sure everybody uses almost constantly when they're using Animbot. Sorry, give me 1 second. I'm just going to move this out of the way. Cool. Is the selection sets. So it's this button right here with the arrow in the box. And just as a test or just to demonstrate, I'll select this cog control and then I'll select the selection set, and then it'll bring up this window and it'll allow you to cast whatever you have in your current selection into a selection set. So I'm going to name this guy cog, and you can see down here there's a bunch of colors. And so the way that the selection sets are organized are actually by color. So let's say if I want my center of gravity, which is my cog, to be somewhere in the middle, right, intuitively speaking, you can see, sorry, I'm going to uncheck transparency mode. There we go. You can see I have my button for my cog right here. So if I create another button, if I create another selection set, I can use this button right here. It'll cast whatever I have, and let's say this is my left foot. So intuitively, if my cog is this color, I'd want to choose something to the left of that cog to signify that it's the left foot. So I'll use red. And let's say the right foot, because we can see character right, not from screen right, but character right, is right here. And if our cog is blue, I'll say maybe purple. That way it's a little bit easier for me to keep organized, and I'll actually change this color to something right in the middle, this green, because you can tell that if intuitively, if I'm selecting my cog, right, and I want the left foot being on the left side of my selection set, whereas if I were to put maybe, let's say this is the right knee, and if I were to put this right knee, just as a different color, but it's on the left side, you can see how it'd be a little bit counterintuitive. You'd expect it to be on the right side, since all of my that's the way I like to do it anyway. You can see how it'd be a little bit counterintuitive to keep controls for the right side of the character on the left side of the cog, or just the left side of the center of your picker. Because ideally, let's say you want to change this color. Oh, and by accessing this menu, I can just right click. And you have a bunch of options here, but I'm just going to change the color. Ideally, I'd like to change it to, I like to keep all my controls that are similar to each other the same color. So everything has to do with the right leg, let's say. I try and keep it in this color family, in these like purples. Maybe pinks I might say for like toes if I really need. And I'll just work my way up from there. all the way to the cog. I always try and have the cog or the torso somewhere around green or yellow since it's at the center of the character. That way it'll give me a lot more colors to use from the right side of my body and the left side of my body. And let's go over these options a little bit. So you can create a new selection with whatever's selected with this button. This button will organize all of your selection sets into tabs. It'll kind of do it smartly, quote unquote. What it actually does, it actually looks for some kind of a namespace in all of the controls that you have cast into your selection sets, and it'll divide it up that way. So you'll see that like they've all been cast into this tab called ball, right? So if I were to have maybe another character with another namespace, it would also give me another tab with that with controls or with the controls that I have in the selection set for that character. But generally speaking, though, I normally just keep it like this. It's a lot easier for me to look at. And then you can see here, this will filter it by color. If I only want to see purple, if I only want to see green, if I want to see red, if I want to see all of them. And if I only want to see those two, I can just deselect them and select them as needed. Oops. And so here we have the more, I guess, more options, I guess you would say. It's the same menu that you would get for just by selecting this little arrow on the top of the button. So let's go over that real quick. Transparency mode is what you were seeing earlier. It would go into transparency mode. That way you can leave it over anything that you want. And if you're working in your viewport, you can still see your character. And that way, you know, your GUI is not selecting anything, because more often than not, then this picker will become very big. Actually, it'll become like maybe half of the screen size. So having this in X-ray mode is actually quite nice. That way you can work without having to worry about this blocking or taking up any screen real estate. Personally, I like to keep mine right here. And I'm going to turn off transparency mode for now, just so we can see it properly. Oh, one of the newest features that was added, which is awesome, and I love it very much. Only because, you know, when I'm working, if I'm actually doing like shot work, then chances are I'll only have this open, this viewport maximized, and I'll have my selection sets right here. I won't show any of the curves or anything. I'll select everything through here. And so another way to kind of save on screen real estate is there's an option here under more tools, select sets pop up. So what you can do is, just like this prompt says, you can set this up to a hotkey, and it'll pop it up only when you have the hotkey pushed down. So just for example's sake, let's go ahead and set this to a hotkey real quick. Actually, do I have that? It might be bound to my old hotkeys. Actually, let's check. Hotkeys. Selection tools. Auto select. Pop up. Here we go. What am I not using? L? I can't remember what L is for, but let's try and use that. Okay. Cool. So while you're working, if you hold L, you will get your selection set pop-up. It's actually pretty nice. You can do the same thing for sliders as well, and this just won't take any screen real estate at all. So if you have your NURB curves off, and you want to select the cog, you can just do like so. Or let's say I want the left foot. You can do it like so. It speeds up workflow a lot, and it keeps you from having to avert your attention or divert your attention elsewhere while working. Yeah, I love it a lot. So let's see. You can transfer your selection sets between files if you so wish. Let's say you're using this character for some reason in another shot. And then you can quick export and quick import, or you can export and import. So the difference between quick and like not quick, when you do it quick export and quick import, it'll save it to a temporary file. and you won't have to name it or like set the location or anything, but you can transfer it between Maya sessions. It'll save it to a temporary file that it can call upon automatically without you having to navigate to it. When you do the normal import and export, it does the exact opposite. You'll have to save it out into, or this could be useful if you're bringing it with you, or if you want to give to somebody else. You save it to an external file, and then once you import it into the other scene, you'll have to navigate it to it just like you would normally. Clearing all the selection sets down here, and then, yes, and then if for some reason, actually, sure. And let's say for some reason that, I don't know, this gets messed up or something, just in order to bring it back, you can just restore it to the default. Okay, cool. That's pretty much it for the selection sets. Like I said, I use this a lot. I'm pretty sure everybody I know uses this a lot. It's a great way to get like a universal picker without having to bring it anywhere, and like it's really simple, it's really clean, it's really fast, and especially with like the pop-up, it's really, really nice. You can see that like if I have the pop-up and I have the transparency, going at the same time, it virtually takes up like no screen real estate, and you can work on the fly really easily, which is nice. Cool. All right. So the next button down here is the select opposite button. So it does exactly what you might think. It selects the opposite control. So it should be noted though that before you do that, if the naming convention of your controls aren't intuitive, and if it's not maybe a standard biped, or maybe your character's asymmetrical for some reason, and it's not predictable where the mirror would be, you might have to set that on your own. But since this is just the ball with legs, this should be pretty simple. I actually haven't tested it, so let's try. Selecting opposite. Nope. Okay, cool. So this is, I guess, a good example. Let's take all these controls, and I'm going to frame. You know what I think I'll do first, just so I don't lose anything. I'll try and, sorry, let me think about this for a second. I don't want to lose anything. Oh, okay. Well, anyway, this is just for example's sake. So let's say that I wanted to set my mirror settings, right? I'll select my entire rig and I'll reset it. And this is at its standard position, right? For some reason, I don't know why, but when this rig was created, it is looking down -Z as opposed to +Z. Or no, even, yeah, it's looking down -Z instead of +Z. But anyway, we can snapshot the opposite controls here. This is the default pose. And so it's created a snapshot. So hopefully, like I said, intuitively, it should be able to select the opposite. There we go. Opposite, opposite. What's also handy about this is that, let's say you have your entire character selected, and if you right-click on the Select Opposite tool, you'll get a little bit more options. So let's say you have the one foot and you want to add the other foot. You can add Select Opposite. Or let's say you have your entire character selected, right? Let's say you have a bunch of controls for your legs and a bunch of controls for your arms, so you're selecting just the entire character. And you can right-click in the opposite controls and you can deselect the right ones, or you can deselect the left ones, or even down here, you can deselect the center ones, which is really, really nice. It'll select everything, probably, I'm guessing, from like your hips all the way up to your head. Granted, you have everything selected on your character. It's really helpful for very, very complicated characters. But again, it's pretty important that you set up this snapshot, especially if your character is not, a standard biped. So I'm just going to Control Z back to the pose that I had before I set up the snapshot. There we go. Cool. All right. So next we have the copy animation, paste animation, and the copy pose, paste pose. So these tools are actually really, really powerful, and I'm going to open up a fresh ball and legs rig, to kind of demonstrate these ones. Figured this might be a little bit easier. Hopefully, we'll see. Okay, so. And I should, oh, yeah, actually, we'll get to that in a later class. Not many classes left, but, so I'm going to snapshot my opposite controls real quick. Okay, cool. So these buttons down here, this is the standard default buttons that are showing for these. You can see this little dude running, that means it's an animation, and you can see this person in an A pose, that means it's just a pose. That's how you differentiate the two. And so let's say that I am doing an up and down. Here we go. I'm going to do a walk. So this is my this is my contact pose, my passing pose, my contact pose again. I want here. So what's universal between these two buttons is that I can click this and it'll store this information of the pose, and then I can control click it again, and then that will be the paste for it. And then just like with the pose tools, I can do the same thing with the animation. So let's say I select these and then I'll copy my animation. And if I want to put that on my foot, let's say I'll select these controls and control click, and then it'll do the same thing. It will copy the animation to that. Okay, cool. Let me just delete that. Okay, so there's a different, there's a few different options that you can do when you're pasting your animation. You can paste insert, which will insert the curves to wherever you have the time head. Let's say I have mine at, I don't know, let's say I have mine here at 7. And you know what, let's put this back actually. Let's paste the animation again. Oh, I didn't have to copy it again because it was still in my clipboard. I should say that. And let's extend the timeline a little bit. So let's say I want to paste it right here in 7. So I'll select the channels that I want to paste it into. Let's say by pasting insert, it's going to insert it exactly where my playhead is. If I paste replace it, it's going to replace all of the keys in my timeline. So if I paste insert, it'll start from right here at 7. If I paste, I guess paste replace won't really work since since the anim is on here already. But let's say, okay, let's say up, and then this one's here. There we go. Cool. That's different. Okay. Let's say if I paste replace. Oh, sorry. Nope. Paste replace. Sure. Why not? Oh, okay. Let's try that again. Copy. And then paste replace, please. There we go. Ta-da. It replaces the animation from wherever it was copied. So the animation that I copied started at 0. So when I paste replaced, it started at the same frame from where I got it from frame 0. From frame 0. Sorry. Delete that and reset it. Cool. Okay, did I forget anything? Oh, this is a good one. Okay, so let's say I want to copy this animation, right? I have it copied, and then I want to paste it onto another control that maybe isn't quite as intuitive, just from like a cog to a foot, right? Then what I can do is I can use this tool, paste animation to. You can actually select, and you can. I think you can do this with most of controls actually, but you can actually choose what you want to remap it to just by putting in the name. Let's put it to these two. And then down here, it'll give me the option of either paste inserting or paste replace. Let's paste replace. Cool. Here too. Oh, maybe because I didn't have TY. Okay. Cool. And then I'm going to reset, everything back to default real quick. All right, sweet. And so, oh, right. You can export and import animation. This works similarly. You can do it between sessions. You can do it in the same session if you want. I can't really think of a use of needing to import the same animation over and over again in the same scene, when you can just save it to the clipboard and paste it normally. So, you know, I would assume that these uses are between Mayas, but even so, you can actually copy to the clipboard and paste it in a different session. These actually might be good for maybe giving them to someone else. Let's say you're working on a production and you do a vanilla walk cycle, maybe for a background character. And, you know, that walk cycle may be a great place to start for another shot, and that's assigned to someone else. So, you know, they might hit you up saying like, hey, can I steal your walk animation? You know, using those kinds of shortcuts are really, really helpful on a production, because it'll save you a lot of time, especially when like your bid days are short or few, and especially when you're in like a condensed schedule, right? It saves on a lot of time. Okay, so, oh, right. So everything with the copy animation is pretty much the same with the paste pose, or the copy pose, paste pose. It's pretty much the same. You can copy a pose and paste the pose. You can paste too, just like we were showing with the copy and paste animation, and you can import and export and pose. All right, so let's go into the mirror settings. And actually, before I do that, just like with the selecting, I want to make sure that my mirror settings are set up properly, just like they are. Oh no, excuse me, sorry. I thought I disabled the waiting room. Okay. Okay, so where was I? Mirror settings. Okay. So just like I set up the snapshot settings for selecting the opposite, you typically want to do the same thing when you do the mirror controls. Again, if your character is not like a conventional biped or like a typical character or anything, normally it should work off the bat. Yeah, there we go. And again, this may be because I already did my selection set snapshot. But in case you do need to do that, you need to set up a snapshot for when you're selecting like the opposite, or when you are mirroring a pose from left to right. You can do the same thing. Just make sure character's in default, and you can right click and then snapshot mirror settings. And so the mirror tool is actually, really, really powerful. So let's say, you know, you have this foot up in the air and you want to mirror it to the right, or actually mirror it to the left maybe. Aha, okay. I wonder if it's because I don't have a key set. Mirror to the right. Ooh, this is a new one. Oh, I had this problem earlier. Okay, excuse me. Let me go to one of these. Cool. So I'm going to go back to this example. Alrighty, show nerve curves. Here we go. So let's try this one. Mirror. No. Let's try. I'm not sure why this is working. Let's just see what happens. Reset. Snapshot. Yes. Okay. Okay, I still have my pose because I turned off auto key. Mirror. There we go. Sweet. Okay, cool. But it's actually not mirroring my pose. It's just selecting the opposite for me. Oh, this is a good one. Mirror maybe? Let's see. Mirror to left? Nope. Mirror to right? I wonder if it's just because of this character. Let me see if the mirror will work on this. Nope. Let me try that. Sorry, guys. I have not run into this one before. I thought it was one thing, but I guess I was wrong. Let's see. Auto key is on. And then mirror. Nope. Let's set these settings, mirror snapshot settings. And you know what? Let's just do, uh-oh. This is awesome. Okay. Alrighty. Yes, yes, I know. Okay. Pardon while I start up a new Maya. Who knows? Maybe that'll fix it. Good old Maya. Oh, okay. Don't worry about that. And let's not worry about that either. Come on. Cool. All right. Let's open the rig again. Let's turn all these off. And then let's put the mirror snapshot settings. There we go. Cool. Thank you. And then let's say we're like up here. Whoops. Haha, there we go. I don't know why that wasn't working, but now it is. So thank goodness for that. Can you guys still hear me? You guys can still hear me, right? Great. Can you still see me? Okay, great. Making sure. Okay. So yeah, if you click on it without having a mirror to right or mirror to left, it's just going to auto mirror. It's going to kind of guess based off of naming convention again, and like based off of the mirror settings that you snapshotted earlier, what to mirror to. And of course, you can choose to mirror it to the right or to the left if you want. What's also nice about this actually is, you know, if there's no clear right or left defined, it'll also like mirror single controls like this. That's great for maybe when you're doing like let's say you're doing a walk. A walk is a great example actually. Hang on. Let me reset this. And let me reset this. Okay, so let's say you have your 3 keys right here. Oh, and then let's say here's your contact pose. This is your passing pose. And then, so let's copy and let's paste that, right? And then, so let's say here, you have the hips going, you know, a little bit forward this way and then a little bit this way, since this foot will technically be going first. Copy that. Come on. There you go. Paste that. And then if you mirror this, it's supposed to work, but it doesn't want to for some reason. Oh no. It was just working. Why? Let's see if this will work. Okay, that still works. Huh. Wow, that's a good one. I wonder why I won't mirror that one. I just did it. Oh, this is going great. All right. And again, this may be due to the rig, but I can't be certain. Yes. Okay, cool. So let's try that again. Set a key. There. Close that, and then mirror. No. Can I mirror this one? No. Oh man, this is. I really wonder if it's because it's facing the wrong way, and these are technically in the same space in X. I wonder if there's another one that I can use. Let's try toy. Cool. All right, let's see if this works. Okay, anyway. Oh, wait, maybe it's because, yep, there we go. Turn off all these. I'm gonna set him to 1. And then let's see if this works. So character, and then mirror snapshot. Yep. Uh-oh. Please don't crash. Yes. Okay. Got my foot. And let's see. All right. So that works. Cool. I like that so far. Okay, let's just do one channel. Yes. There we go. Okay, cool. So, like I said, if I was doing the beginnings of a walk, right? I will, let's say this is my contact pose. So he's going to be down a little bit, and he's going to be rotated this way, and he will be rotated this way. And then on frame 5, he'll be reset. Actually, let's put a key on frame 10 first. On frame 5, he'll be reset. And then on frame 10, I will want the opposite. So fingers crossed. Nope. Wow, I wonder why that is. It was just working. Oh, there it went. Did I just have to update it? Okay. Well, that's what the mirror tool does. I can't understand why it wasn't, maybe it just wasn't updating. Sorry, let's try and reenact that, because if that's a bug, then I'd like to be able to report that to Alan. But let's check. Maybe it's just my display. Maybe that's what's wrong with this dude. All right, so set a key here. This is my contact pose. He's rotated that way a little bit, rotated that way a little bit. Frame 5 and frame 10. Frame 5 will reset, and then frame 10, I want the opposite. All right, and then no. All right, hang on. I don't think I did my mirror snapshot settings, or maybe I did. I just don't remember. Okay, there, mirror. Sorry guys, give me 1 second. It's gonna bug me if I don't figure this out. And if this is really a bug, then I'd like to report it. One, so it's a little bit down, and then he's a little bit turned this way. Cool. Okay. Set a key there, set a key there, set a key there. Let's do here, and then mirror snapshot. Yes. Cool. And let's mirror this. No, didn't want to. Okay. 1 sec. Let's try this. Maybe it's because I didn't set it up until afterwards. Oops. Paste and mirror. No, auto mirror. Mirror to left. Huh. I'm really sorry, guys. We're gonna go over that one again. Well, we'll go over that one again later, but I don't know why it seems to want to work sometimes, and maybe I'm doing something wrong. I don't know. Okay, seems to want to work with the feet, so let's do it with the feet. Okay, let's see. Mirror to right, mirror to left, mirror all keys. Oh, mirror all keys is actually pretty nice, but there's one thing that I'm actually going to request a change for that I can show you an example of. So while doing this, you can technically flip all of the animation that you have, right? I've got my dude walking as he is. And you can actually flip all of the keys. Well, I hope so anyway. We'll see how this works. You should be able to mirror all your keys just by using this. And yeah, there we go. So it'll give you a walk, but a lot of the keys that I had set were set to cycle. And so after I set my keys, you know, they no longer cycle after this point. I mean, you know, it's just as easy as selecting cycle again, but it'd be nice if it'd be able to keep that integrity. So that is a fix that I'm going to ask for. Okay, let's move on. So the align tool is pretty cool. Let's take a box. There we go. Cool, so this tool right here is the align tool, and then you can pretty much choose which set of channels you'd want to align this object to. So let's say I want to align this box to this cog, right? You can press it, and by default, it'll give you all of the channels. Or if you can right-click it, it'll give you options, right? If you just want the position, if you just want the orientation, if you want the scale, which I guess doesn't matter too much since this is a default scale of 1, you can align all of the keys, or you can align this object along each one of its keyframes. So you can see that it's keyed on every 3 frames about. So if I align object on all keys, it'll give me a key on each one of these, or on each one of the frames that it was keyed on, but it'll also align it on each one of those. It's pretty nice. You know, it's a way of transferring animation, you know, without having to worry about any parent spaces, which is pretty cool. And you know, below that, you get the same options, but for just the sets of channels. Whether you just want the positions, right? It'll give me basically the up and down, left to right, and the forward. This one will give me just the orientations if I so want, and this one will give me just the scale if I want. It's really handy. Let's say, for example, if you want this motion of the foot, you can't necessarily transfer the animation one-to-one from one object to another, only because they're in different spaces. So, you know, a good alternative to that would be doing it with the align objects all keys, right? Because this is in world space, but it's still occupying the space at which this foot is. The foot is technically within the space of, well, this controller, since it's an IK. If it were an FK, it would be in the space of this, the hips. Cool. Delete that. No, delete that. There we go. Cool. Oh, Xform. Okay. Xform, if you're unaware, is very, 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 very powerful, and it kind of works like the align, the tool that I was just showing you, the align all keys. It kind of disregards any kind of object space or parent space or anything like that, and what it does is whether you use a constraint, Xform constraint, or like an Xform just a pose, it'll let you, or it will remember the relationship between two objects, and I'll show you what I mean by that. So let's say you see this cone, or we have this cone sitting on top of this box, as we do. You know what? Let's align it. There we go. we have this cone sitting on top of this box, as we do, and then we want to remember this relationship, right? The cone is sitting on top of the box. So I will use this tool here. This chain link is actually a constraint, but this one is for the pose. I'll just click it, and you can see that it says XForm copied. Let's say if I move this, and I forget to move this for some reason, and I want it sitting exactly where it was, I can select these two again, and I can hit Control click, and it'll give me that relationship again. Oh, sorry, I think I deselected them I selected them in the wrong order. So the cone, I'll click, and then the cone again. Oh, sorry, this way maybe. No. Pardon me. Cone second. How about that? Oh, maybe this one. No, this one. Huh. Okay. It seems to always want to take It seems to always want to take this one. Let's go back. I'll select these two. No, let's select the box second. There we go. And then let's move this one instead. Then the box second. Control click. Oh. Box second. First one first. Sorry guys, give me a second. This tool doesn't work like I remember. Copy. Oops. Box second. So if that's the case, then give me the relationship then. Sorry guys, one sec. Copy XForm relationship. Oh, okay. So this is giving me the playback range. And then, so animation recorder. Oh, that's nice. Okay. Oh, okay. Sorry. I got my tools mixed up. Okay. What this XForm copy in space does is it remembers this position in space, in world space, right? So no matter what hierarchy you have, whether you're in this space or whether you belong to this space, you can put that, or it'll remember where that location is, and it'll put it there once you Control click. Let's say here, let's say this one for example. I'll copy it, and then I will select my foot, and then Control click. There we go. It's a great way for storing. You think of it this way: by copying the XForm information, you're asking it to remember a certain point in space. And then when you paste it, it'll put it back to where the point that it was remembered at. It's great for, what did I use this for a lot? I remember you having to use this a lot in Overwatch. XForm space. Oh, yes. It's great for placing, in my case, there were a lot of missiles in a shot, and all of the missiles that I was using were under tons and tons of parents and constraints at that point. And so being able to, copy this XForm and paste it to other objects is really handy. And also, I didn't have to worry about like aligning it, because sometimes the align tool won't work as you expect it to, just depending on the hierarchy that it lives in. So using the XForm is really, really handy for that. And so I think, we'll see if I'm right, but I think the relationship that I was talking about here is with the constraint. So if I select the box second, and I'll use this chain link instead of this world, and then I'll move this, and then I'll select it in the same way again, and then I'll control click. Oops. There you go. It'll sit back on top of the box the way that it was when I had first copied the X-form relationship. That's what I was doing wrong. Sorry. And you can see right here that you can do it over all frames. You can bake them over the entire timeline if you want. It's pretty much like having a constraint, baking it down, and then deleting the constraint. That would be the old school way of doing it. But by doing this, by copying the relationship, like we do here, you can copy the relationship, and then however, if let's say if this is keyed, you can just bake all of the frames so that, let's say if this guy were moving throughout the whole thing, if you bake the frames onto this, it would keep that relationship between these two objects, which is pretty cool. This one is somewhat new too, this next tool. Or actually, I think the slider is just new. This right here pretty much shows you all of, this is the space switcher. So what this does is it shows you, it's useful for characters that are similarly set up, because what it does, it shows you, and I'm selecting the knees here for a reason, it shows you all of the spaces that those controls can switch to, right? So they can switch to, let's say if you have a hand, let's say an IK control on a rig, and it has a head space, like it'll move with the head, or it has a chest space, you know, it'll move with the chest, or if it has a hip space, right, it'll move with the hips. You'll see all of those options here, but for our purposes on this rig, the only controls that have different spaces are the knees, these pull vectors. And you can see that they can move either with the IK or without the IK. And so if I select both of them, like I'll be able to affect all of the keys or just the current key. And you can see like if I mouse over them, it'll give me those options. This is for the left one and this is for the right one. It's giving me the rotation order only because it's listed in my shapes down here. And you know, I don't want to adjust the rotation order, or it should be anyway. And if it's not, maybe it's just because it's hidden. And you'll see like even down here, it'll give me this control, which is right here in the extras. But you know, this isn't a space switcher. It's just picking it up as a space switcher in here. And I think it might be just because it's an enum, I'm not sure. But yeah, here, I have it at 0 by default. If we just go through and then all keys, select, all keys and select, you'll see that this is now at 1 throughout my entire timeline. I guess throughout all my keys. What I don't know is if it's smart at all. Whether, let's say you have like the hand animated and you want to switch the space to the head, whether it will maintain this animation while still having the relationship to the head, that I'm not sure about. The last thing is this mirror slider. This mirror slider is new, if I'm not mistaken. You can do the overshoot just like you can with the other sliders, but you can basically blend to mirror. And the mirror has been finicky for me today, so we'll see if this works. I can blend to this mirror. There we go. Thank goodness. And so you'll notice that in the direction this is mirroring to, I can mirror in the exact opposite direction as well. That's what the negative gives me. Because technically, I should only be able to mirror to the pose and back to 0. But if I go below 0, it'll give me the exact opposite of the mirror that I'm getting. It'll basically continue in that like linear calculation. So, oh, one more thing, one new thing. You may have noticed that in the new Animbot, they have the Smart Euler filter. This was a new push also. What this does is it kind of compensates and it kind of acts as like an automatic check to make sure that you don't rotate yourself into gimbal lock. it'll smartly check whether you're getting into gimbal lock, and it'll auto calculate the values when you start getting into gimbal lock, which is pretty nice. You get to see any problems really early on, as opposed to having to like fix it when it's finished already, which is not fun. But yeah, so those are the tools that we're covering today. Sorry for all the technical difficulties. But yeah, that is the selection sets, the copy and paste animation and pose, the mirror settings, the align tool, the X-form tool, space switcher, and the mirror slider. Cool. I'll give you guys the option to unmute yourselves now. Mute. Cool. Sweet. And sorry, Kevin, that I completely turned off the chime for the waiting room, and so hopefully you weren't in there long. I'm really sorry about that. I had to turn off all the audio for like that chunk of the class. Okay. Did you guys have any questions, or is there anything that you wanted to talk about?
I wanted to like add that you talked about the space switching. I think it works with animation, because I definitely know it works with posing.
Mm-hmm.
Because Jorge in his class with the sparkling the cartoon, he had like a pose where his character was with hands like into the face, and he did the blocking first, and then he started doing animation, and he realized that the hands were in the chest spacing, not the head. And well, in another class with Andres, he told us that exact tool before, and I told him, and it took like like a couple of clicks, and he switched the spacing, and the hands were stuck to the face.
Oh, great. Okay.
It was like probably like an hour of work, maybe less, maybe half an hour of work just in 2 clicks.
Yeah, no, for sure. Okay, so what you're saying is the space switcher is smart. It'll remember.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, that's awesome. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. I didn't know. Cool. Did you guys have any other questions? That was great, by the way. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, the selection sets.
Yeah.
You can also select and deselect, like control.
Yes, you can. They work as like, or you can also isolate the contents. I'm sorry. One of the things that I actually use them for is, let me open up Toy. This might be a better example. Rigs, Toy. What I like to do when I'm working is I like to isolate the pieces that I'm working on. And more often than not, like when you're working with a mesh, more often than not, it's one complete mesh. So what I like to do is I like to select faces, and I actually like to assign them into selection sets. That way, I can isolate the contents if I need to, and I can turn them on and off. Wait, what am I doing? This one, yes, okay. Let me put this into subdivision 1. Turn these off. Cool. Oh, and yes. All right, so let's put him into a selection set. Oops. Cog, and let's say green. Yes. And then let's put this in the left hand. Red. And let's put this one right hand. Blue. Cool. So you can also add selection just like you would normally selecting, like just by hitting control, and you can deselect by hitting control. By hitting control. Sorry, did I say control twice? Yeah. You add selection by holding shift, sorry. And you take away selection by holding control.
Like the usual controls. Select,
yes.
Select.
Yes. Isolating context words too. So if you want for some reason just to isolate the cog, although I wouldn't really, you can also just hit control shift and click like that. But the one thing that I like to do, let's say that I'm just working on the torso. Let me see if I can get to the mesh. It's not locked. Okay, cool. if I am working on just the torso, and then I will grow my selection. Cool. And then let's say I like to label these like hide for now or something. I turn them gray. And if it's faces like that, I can just select them like that, and that way I have just the torso. And let me hide my curves. When I'm working, I never have my curves showing. They're always hidden like that. And then I'll add the selection. So actually, let me put that in and then select, hide. Aha. You go in there. So let me show again and then hide. There we go. A great way to isolate, select only certain things, especially when like I said, it's really easy to save like these selection sets or save faces into these selection sets. In my case, right, you can see how toy is like a few pieces of geometry. A lot of the time, in my case, the entire character is one mesh. And so I can't just hide pieces like this or like this, right? I'll have to go in and do them by face, or another good way of doing it is doing it by UV set. If you go into the UV and you select there, that's a good trick. But yeah, I use this constantly for hiding faces. It's really fast, and it's really light. But that's a great point. I completely forgot about that. Thank you.
Yeah, that's like actually a good trick, because I used to do this, but I was like always select the mesh, then isolate selected, and then
having to unhide it again when you play
do
black.
it again, do it again.
Yeah, no, for sure. I totally know what you mean. Like sometimes I would probably just put it in a display layer and just toggle them on and off. But I don't want to mess with any hierarchy that they have here already going in display layers, and it's a lot easier to just do that. Or opposite of that too is maybe if I have these in each if I have each of these pieces of geo in a selection set, I can control shift and I see just my hands, right? Or if I have, let's say, oops, yeah, actually, let me go to my front view, and then I'll select it right down the middle, and then I'll grow my selection from here. There, and then let's say this is my torso, and then if I just want my torso, then I can just do that. Or if I just want my hands, then I can just do that. Or if I just want my legs, so on and so forth. It's a great way to select stuff without, because there are some times where like you're working on your torso, and when you isolate select, you're only getting this. So all of your controls disappear too, right? For some reason, let's say my chest isn't in my selection sets, and then I want to see my torso, but I can't select my chest without getting out of this, or not having it in a selection. So doing it this way is nice too. But yeah, and if you guys aren't already, I would definitely do the pop-up. This thing's real nice. Yeah. Cool. Cool. Did you guys have any other questions?